So we've gone from a cassette to a game to a reeler film. And that's got Star Wars SE on it. This reeler film I'm holding in my hand, it's about the size of my hand, is a trailer. Now, that trailer, I had no idea existed. I used to go to the comic book stores and I'd buy Cinescape magazine, and I was buying Empire at the time, and I'd heard rumors of Star Wars films. There were other Star Wars films coming around and all that sort of stuff. And one day, my father worked at a cinema and had organized some tickets for me to go and see Independence Day. And I was pretty excited because I'd seen the trailers. I was like pumped. I was like, oh, this looks cool. It's got a sci-fi movie. And I said to my friend Steve at the time, he said, oh, yeah, so I've got tickets to Independence Day. Do you want to go and see it? And he's like, oh, I've got some girls coming along. And at that time, you're being a teenager, it's like, oh, I've got to be cool. And of course, I was of the mindset, well, people need to accept me for who I am. So I wore a Star Wars shirt, my favorite Star Wars shirt, which had an X-Wing and a TIE fighter, and they were fighting each other, and it had little glow stars on it. And we met up at Toombul Shopping Centre, and we had some dinner, and then we went up to the movie, and I was like, oh, yep. And of course, I'd never met these girls before, so, I was trying to play it cool and hip and all that sort of stuff. And we're sitting in the theatre, and we're at the very back of the cinema in Cinema 1, which was the biggest theatre, had the most seats, and it was a packed house. And all the ads come on, and all the slides coming on, and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, oh, just get to the movie. And we've got to the last trailer of the night. And it was this trailer that I have in my hand that played. And that was the Star Wars Special Edition trailer. And like I say, once again, I hadn't heard anything about it, and I hadn't read anything about it, or I probably had just missed a magazine, and I didn't have the internet at home, so I was unaware of what was going on and that sort of stuff back in the day. And and then this trailer play, and there's this little TV popped up, and I thought, oh, what's this for? And then it was the big announcement, for those who have experienced Star Wars the only way possible on the TV screen, you haven't experienced it before, and the X-Wing flies through the TV. And I have literally leapt out of my chair. I'm standing on the chair in a room full of probably 300 or 400 people, and I am cheering at the top of my lungs, going, Star Wars is back! It's back! I'm going to get to see all of these again on the big screen. Like, I hadn't seen A New Hope, but I was like, oh my God, I'm going to... And then, of course, we all got to see snippets of those special edition scenes. And there was like, oh, there's the scene with Jabba, which I had read about and I'd seen pictures of. And I was like, oh, look at this new effects and the X-Wing swinging in and everything. And Mos Eisley's changed and there's all these creatures and digital effects and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like going, holy crap, this is unbelievable. And I was just in shock. So I was on a high for the rest of that film. And I was like, I've got to see that trailer again. So I went and saw Independence Day 7 times purely so I could see that trailer. And I would just, and then of course the internet had started to come into play. So everywhere I could, I would try and find a video of that trailer. And we ended up at that cinema. They got a sample. They usually, the distributors would send out a sample video of things that were coming out. And one of them was 20th Century Fox sent the cinema a sample video of the changes in the special editions. Now that was a little like a buzz reel, showcasing everything that was going on. And of course it had that trailer in it. And they played that tape for months until the films came out. And of course, once it was done, I managed to secure that VHS tape, which I have in my collection. But it wasn't until a few years later that there was an ex-projectionist. And he said to me, Adam, I've got something for you. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was his parting gift. And not only did he hand me this trailer on film, he handed me the ones they also did for just Empire and Return of the Jedi and Return of the Jedi. So I don't have a projector that I wish I could play these in. I really wish I did, but I have them. But once again, that was a very special moment in my life. My parents had just been divorced, were going through separation, and life was getting really hard and tricky. And then I had this magical moment in my life where I felt really down. I felt really out of it, and I didn't know where things were going, where I was going in my life. I was in the middle of trying to decide to continue studying, doing university, working full time. Of course, my mum and my brother and I had moved into a two-bedroom unit, not far from the cinemas, and yeah, I wasn't sure where things were going in my life. And once again, it was Star Wars that brought me back, because at that stage, I had been going through waves of loving Star Wars, sort of letting it go, loving it, and all that sort of stuff for a variety of reasons and pressures. And that, once again, this was probably my second, or I would say probably my third or fourth resurgence with Star Wars. And it was from that moment on, my fandom continued to grow and never stopped growing. Star Wars became even more a bigger part of my life. Probably because around that time too, there was the announcement of the prequels, that they were being filmed. We, of course, got to see our first part of the prequels with Coruscant at the end of Return of the Jedi. And, once it was based off looked like some old Ralph McQuarrie sketches and all that sort of stuff. So seeing that trailer, this one that I have, like I say, in my hand that you can't see, but those on YouTube can, that you can't see, this was a new beginning for me. This was the start of a Star Wars journey that hasn't stopped since '97, and I owe it all to this trailer, because it just made me grow and grow and grow and grow and grow even further as a Star Wars fan. So I have to thank that person yet again for giving me that, because that's a piece of my history as much as it is Star Wars history. So it brought me back into the fold. So thank you to that mysterious stranger. And yeah, those special editions changed my life in a huge way.